It's Thursday, and you know what that means. We're talking two-start pitchers coming up next.
It's about that time.
Stoned on Sports.
How's it going, everybody? You are tuned in to Stoned on Sports Fantasy Baseball. My name is Matt. Got the awesome co-host Kyle here with me today, and as promised, we are talking two-start pitchers for next week, possibly the key to your playoff success. We are on the march for 500 subscribers. We're trying to get there by the end of the month, and only you can help us out. So if you want to support the show, that is a zero cost way to do so. Give us a like, throw a subscribe in there, tell your friends. We'd really appreciate it. Kyle, how the hell you doing, buddy?
Doing great. Very excited. We're talking baseball, of course, but very excited. NFL opening tonight, Ravens, Chiefs. Pretty damn excited for that. And fantasy baseball playoffs in the podcast league. Hopefully I can get in. As it looks right now, I'll get that 6th seed. So hopefully it goes that way. All right, let's get started. We got some two-start pitchers for you. I think a streamer as well. First guy we got, he's a Mets pitcher. He's won 4 straight decisions and 6 quality starts in his last 7 trips to the mound since the beginning of August. What can we expect from David Peterson in his 2 starts next week?
Well, you know, this dude, he's been on a heater, so to speak. He has 2 road starts at Toronto and at Philly. And I bet Blue Jays fans wish they'd seen this version of their offense all season long. Over the past couple of weeks, they are one of the highest scoring teams with power. They aren't striking out much. They're drawing walks, and they're 3rd in team OPS at 827. And the Phillies, they're not really far behind in terms of run production. However, they do strike out quite a bit, but they'll draw a walk as well. Team OPS isn't as good as Toronto, but still solid at 773. And David Peterson has been the number 4 starting pitcher since August 3rd. Who'd have thunk it? Right. In that time, he's 4-0 with a 181 ERA, a 112 whip, struck out 38, walked 13, had a couple dongs dropped on him, and 44 2/3 innings pitched. And this dude is coming off arguably what was his best start of the season on Tuesday against Boston. He scattered 6 hits, allowing just 1 earned, 1 walk, struck out 11 over 6 innings pitched. That marked his 7th straight start, allowing 2 or fewer earned runs, and he's worked 6 or more innings in 6 of those 7 starts. And really, by many metrics, this dude's having the best season of his career. He's 9-1 with a 275 ERA. His FIP's a little over a run higher. XFIP is about a 1.5 higher, so there's a good bit of luck in there. He's got a 131 whip, which is high. He struck out 81, walked 40, given up 8 home runs in 98 1/3 innings pitched. And his last start notwithstanding, his strikeouts are down quite a bit from where he's been the past couple of years. His rate is down 6.5 points to just 19.5%, and he's striking out a little less than 7.5 per 9, where he was well over 10 the past couple of years. We're also seeing a similar trend with his ability to miss bats. His swinging strike rate is down to 10.5% when he was well over 12. And his whiff rate is below 25% when he'd been flirting with 30. Luckily, we've seen a corresponding increase to his called strike rate, which has risen to almost 17%, and that's really helped him out. Balls. This dude is throwing too many balls. Despite a better than average first pitch strike rate, he's not spending enough time in the zone. Granted, he has improved in this area, but he's still walking almost 10% of the batters he faces with a per 9 well over 3.5, and that's really what's driving his high whip. He allows a little more contact than most, but it's not by much. His overall contact rate is at 77.6%, which I'll take, and in the zone, he's at 86.6. Batters are just a touch more patient against him compared to the league average, and I'd imagine his inability to throw more than half of his pitches in the zone is a factor, and from a batter's perspective, a walk is as good as a hit. Quality of contact isn't great either, but it's not trash. Exit velocity is at 89.4. Hard hit rate is in the bottom quarter of the league at 42% flat. His barrel rate is actually pretty good at 7.3%, but he's not inducing much weak contact. He is an extreme ground ball pitcher, though, with a rate pushing 53%. If you can get dudes to beat their balls into the ground, it makes it much more difficult for him to hit it out. Both his fly ball and line drive rates are below average, and he doesn't get pulled much either relative to the rest of the league. Obviously, these are a couple of difficult starts for him just based on how the other teams have been performing. I've always been a believer that good pitching beats good hitting, and I think Peterson is a good pitcher. Pick his ass up, but it may be for just these 2 starts. After this week, he gets Philly again, and then Atlanta to close out the season. Yes. Let's get this thing off of here so Kyle can talk about his guy. Prior to getting his dick knocked in the dirt by the Pirates the last time out, Ben Lively had allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in 7 of his previous 8 starts. Can he get back on track next week with a couple winnable matchups?
Yeah, that I think he can. That start you mentioned, it was 6 earned on 9 hits, a walk, and just 3 Ks over 4 and a third. It was pretty bad and a no decision. So he's still fantasy starting pitcher 76 on the year. He's had 25 starts. He does have a winning record of 11-8 in 131 innings pitched. His ERA is just a tick under 4, and his WHIP's a little bit high there at 123. Strikeout rate's not great. It's below our average, around 19%. But the walk rate's above average at 7.7. This guy pitches to contact. That's really just who he is. And he's not very overpowering either with just a 90.1 mile an hour fastball. His contact rates are about 4% higher than the MLB average in the zone and about 8% higher when he gets hitters to chase. The problem is that all that contact he generates is mostly hard contact. Average exit velocity is 90.1. It puts him in the bottom 12th of pitchers, and hard hit rate is in the bottom 5th of pitchers in the majors, and both of those are worse than last year. Swing and miss, fucking forget about it. He sucks. Chase rate 24-1. It is the 4th worst mark in the majors. Whiff rate, not very good either at 18.6. It is the 5th worst mark in the majors. And those numbers are no surprise with a swinging strike rate, Matt, of just 7.8%. That's ugly.
Ouch.
He is helped by a decent ground ball rate of 41.8, which keeps his line drive rate over 3.5% better than the league average. However, it's his fly ball rate that's really a concern. It's almost 29%. And especially he's had some problems with a home run per 9 of 151. He's got to get better at keeping the ball in the yard. The matchups there at Chicago, they suck. Enough said. You can send your grandmother out there to the mound against them. It'll be fine. Versus Tampa Bay the last 15 days, they've been 22nd in hits, 24th in run, 19th in walk, the 2nd most strikeouts, and 25th in team OPS. And plus, Chicago and Tampa Bay are both in the bottom 10 in whiff and chase rates. That could help Lively a ton since he sucks at it. He's a good start. I like it. You know, the Chicago sucks. Tampa Bay hasn't been playing well the last couple of weeks. I think he's an excellent start, and he's dual eligible. Plug him in at your relief spot. Get yourself an extra start, man.
All right, so we got Raul in the chat. He lost Corey Seager and weathering the holes that Arrighetti and Suarez left him in, looking for a little bit of guidance. As far as a replacement for Seager, somebody we talked about on Tuesday was Orlando Arcia. I think he'd be a good option for you. And I believe, and let me just double check my notes here. All right, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Anyways, as far as pitching, brother, you're in the right place. And with Arrighetti, look, he's a rookie. There's going to be some ups and downs there. Now, we certainly don't expect for him to just get absolutely shelled like he did the other day. And Suarez, look, he's been awesome. Out of the two, I would be inclined to stick with Suarez. I think he's a little bit better pitcher than Arrighetti at this point in his career. I do like the home ballpark a little bit better. Their Camden Yards is suppressing home runs a little bit since they did some renovations, and the team context is pretty damn good as well. That said, if David Peterson is available in your league, I would certainly look to add him. David Festa is another name that shows some promise, gets plenty of strikeouts. And we're actually going to be talking about him here in just a little bit as well.
Heck yeah. I think there's some other questions there too, right? Fantasy football, great show. Wondering with all the rookie call-ups, which are worth picking up. Thanks always. So far, so good with playoffs. Good stuff, man. Nice being in the playoffs there. I'm trying to think. I thought Toronto had a pitcher. What was his name? Bloss? Jake Bloss? Did he get called up yet?
I am not sure. I've been a little bit out of it over the past couple days.
He was somebody I was high on. Man, I don't have a good answer for you there, fantasy football, dude.
Yeah, if you have any that you're looking at and are curious about, happy to take a look into them, but there's nothing that really is jumping out at me at the moment.
No, he's not.
And Raul, you are very welcome.
Heck yeah. And I think I saw James in there as well. Category league. Would you pick up Jeffrey Springs with 2 starts next week versus the Phillies and the Guardians? Probably.
Yeah, I think. I mean, if
right away.
If you're looking for strikeouts, I think he is a decent option. With those offenses, though, there is some serious blow-up potential for him. And you want to remember coming back from Tommy John surgery, the command piece takes the longest to really come back, and that just kind of adds to the volatility. It would also really depend, too, on who you would be dropping to pick him up. In a vacuum, he's not bad.
Right. He's been pretty good, but that's a big test. Big tests. Okay. All right.
Kelsey's asking Crows or Chefs tonight.
I'm going Chefs.
Oh, I'm going to
only because they lost. Only because they lost last year to Detroit there, the first game after their Super Bowl trophy stuff or ring stuff. But I don't think it'll happen 2 years in a row. Got a lot better options in that offense now than they did last year at the beginning of the year. And Kelsey was out. Chris Jones was out. Not that I'm making excuses. Detroit destroyed him, but
yeah.
Anyway. All right. Who we got next?
We got our Kelsey, and that's the one that matters.
There you go. This Oakland A's pitcher has been a solid contributor since the All-Star break. He's thrown 7 innings in 5 of his last 6 starts and has 11 quality starts on the year. Matt, what's up with his matchup next week versus the poopy White Sox, JP Sears?
Well, he's got 2 road starts. He's at Houston, and then he's got the Shy Sox. Houston, honestly, has been a bottom half offense lately in terms of runs scored. They've not been hitting with much power, striking out quite a bit, and they're not walking a whole lot either. As for the White Sox, if you really need me to comment on how bad they are, you've not been paying attention at all this season. They're really bad, like historically bad. Yeah. And JP Sears, and I was surprised to learn this, he's the number 24 starting pitcher since July 4th. In that time, he's 7-2 with a 3.06 ERA, a 1.05 whip, 55 strikeouts, 11 walks. He's had 9 dongs dropped on him in 61 2/3 innings pitched. And this dude has gone 7 or more innings pitched in 5 of his last 6 starts, and he's got 9 strikeouts in 2 of them. Season-long numbers aren't quite as good, but likely better than people were expecting from him coming into the year. He's 11-9 with a 4.21 ERA. FIP's right there. XFIP's about half a run higher. A 120 whip, 117 strikeouts, 40 walks, 22 home runs allowed, and 151 2/3 innings pitched. And even though he's shown some strikeout upside as of late, it's not really a big part of his game, at least this year. His rate is down 3.5 points from last season's career high to 18.5%, and he's striking out under 7 per 9. The swinging strike rate isn't terrible at 10% flat, but it is lower than many of his peers. His whiff rate is similar. It's in the bottom third of the league at 22.8%. His called strike rate, though, isn't half bad, and it's helped him to salvage a low but acceptable 26.7% called plus swinging strike rate. Luckily, he's not going out there and beating himself. His 6.3% walk rate is actually quite nice, and he's walking less than 2.5 per 9. And though he doesn't get a ton of movement on his pitches, he gets enough to squeak out a passable 27.5% chase rate. He does allow more contact than we'd like to see on an overall basis, with a rate approaching 79.5%. And that's getting dangerously close to our unofficial cutoff of 80%. He's better in the zone, where his rate is sitting at 85.5%, just a hair better than average. Quality of contact is quite similar on the whole. Not bad, but worse than league norms. Exit velocity is a little over 89 miles an hour. Hard hit rates at 40 flat. Barrel rate is kind of rough at 9.7%. However, he does induce more weak contact than most, with a rate of 4.5%. He is a fly ball pitcher that gets pulled quite a bit, with ground ball and line drive rates well below the league median. He does get a nice boost from his home ballpark overall, but that ain't going to help him this week. I don't even know why in the hell I put that in there. What will help is Toronto's struggles against. Why in the hell did I have Toronto? I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Just disregard that part. This is what happens when you do research at work. I am derailing here. Look, run them out there against Chicago. If you really need the innings, Houston's been pretty good against lefties, but they've not been doing so hot as of late. There are worse options, I guess. But at the same time, I mean, this dude has been awesome over the past couple months. He's been a legit SP2. He's out there in more than half of leagues. And at this point in the season, I don't know what the hell you want. You're not going to find an ace on the wire.
No, absolutely not.
All right. Let me make sure this is the right dude, since apparently I'm just a clusterfuck today. Since getting traded to the Brew Crew, Aaron Civale's season has turned around a bit, with a couple starts out west this week. Are you trusting him in your lineup?
Yeah, it's pretty good. He's had a pretty good August, like you said, since being traded from the Rays. 3-1, 3.29 ERA, and 27 1/3 innings. Last start, he allowed 3 earned run over 5 innings and a no decision against the Cardinals on Tuesday. He walked none, struck out 7. It was his 5th outing this season, issuing 0 free passes, and his 6th time with 7+ Ks. On the season, he started 27 times. He's 5-8, 140 innings pitched. He's got 7 quality starts on the year. ERA is a bit high at 4.62. Whips high as well at 134. Strikeout rates right at league average, 22%. Walk rates above average as well at 7.6. Civale is similar to Ben Lively, who I just talked about a moment ago in several ways. One, he doesn't really offer anything high velocity pitches. His fastball velo is just 92.4. He also allows a lot of hard contact. Average exit velocity, hard hit rate are below average. However, his barrel rate's pretty decent at 7.6. And 30 allows just too much contact overall, both in and out of the zone. And he's really below average quite a bit in getting hitters to swing overall and in the zone. He was a little better in those stats last year. I believe it's because he's throwing first pitch strikes over 5% worse or 5% less than last year. And consequently, he's not getting hitters to swing on those first pitches as much as last season either. His swing and miss game, while a bit better than Lively's, is still below average in his chase and whiff rates. And he's had trouble with the long ball. He's got a home run per 9 of 1.60. League average, to put it in perspective, is at 115. He's allowed 25 homers already in 140 innings. That's quite a bit. Why, do you say? Because his fly ball and his line drive weights are way over the MLB average, and he allows hitters to pull the ball a bunch too. So, some of them hitters can hit a line drive pull shot over there. It doesn't have to be a fly ball generally. So, and you add in his hard contact allowed, makes the baseball go bye-bye, right? Matchups on the screen there at the Giants. In the last 15 days, they haven't been so good. 29th in hits, 27 in runs. They're bottom 10 in home runs. That's good for Civale. They can't get a walk at all. They're 28th, and they've had the 9th most strikeouts. Not to mention Oracle Park there in San Francisco is a huge pitcher's park. I like that spot. Arizona, last couple weeks, they've been better. Okay. They've been actually hot for a little while now. They're top 5 in hits and runs. They will walk and they don't strike out much, but they are just 29th in runs batted in. So you could do worse. I like the matchups. I'm pretty confident in Civale this week. give him a go if you're needing some extra help.
All right. So we got Raul asking about Caden Dana from the Los Angeles Angels at Texas. So I think he's made one start so far. He has shown some decent upside in terms of strikeouts when he was in the minors, but he has struggled with his walks. At the same time, he's kept the ball in the yard. There's definitely some talent there, but you want to remember this kid's just 20 years old. At the same time, at this point, Texas is just kind of playing out the string. I certainly understand the temptation to try and catch lightning in a bottle. But when you look at the overall team context of the Angels, they are not a good team. They're another team, just like Texas, playing out the string, giving their young guy a shot. If you want to roll the dice, I'm not going to say absolutely not, but I would also think, maybe keep your expectations a little bit lower. I do like, too, if you're looking for, a dart throw, Rhett Lauder from the Reds. Looked halfway decent so far. He's somebody else who should be very widely available, and he should give you some decent strikeout upside as well.
James is back as well about you, Darvish. You're killing me, Smalls.
There you go. Take your hand off the mouse. I got this. He picked up Yu Darvish off the IL. He faces the Mariners early in the week on Tuesday and likely the White Sox a week after. You bet your ass, James, I'm using them. The Mariners strike out so damn much. So much. There are a lot of pitchers that I normally would not want to start that I would run out there against Seattle just because of how much they strike out. Granted, there's some pop in that lineup as well. So again, you want to keep in mind some volatility there because they may just take his ass yard. But at the same time, Seattle and then the Shy Sox a week after that, you really couldn't ask for two better starts unless it was maybe the Angels and the White Sox. Yeah, I say go for it, dude.
Yeah, if you're looking for some innings eating, though, I don't know. He pitched against our Tigers yesterday, only went 2 2/3, 3 earned and on 4 hits. He didn't look that sharp. He still struck out 4, but if he's getting stretched out from being out so long with his personal issues there, that could be rough.
Maybe a little bit.
What do we got here? This Nationals pitcher has now tossed consecutive quality starts versus the Yankees and the Braves and has allowed just 3 earned runs in his last 12 innings. Matt, what can MacKenzie Gore do next week?
Well, he's got 2 home starts against Atlanta and Miami. The Braves have been a bottom third offense in terms of runs scored lately. They've shown a little pop, but they've struck out quite a bit. They haven't walked much, and they got a team OPS under 700. It's important to keep in mind that they do have something to play for as they're trying to hold on to a wild card spot. Miami, they've been a mid-pack offense, not much pop. They've not been striking out too much, and they're doing a good job of putting the ball in play. Over his past couple starts, 1-0, 10 strikeouts, just 1 walk. He has given up a couple of homers, which, it is what it is. He's allowed 3 earned in 12 innings pitched, back-to-back quality starts for the first time since May. So it's safe to say he's had an up and down season. On the year, he's 8-11 with a 4.45 ERA. He's got a 3.68 FIP and a 4.01 xFIP. So, a little bit of bad luck there. But that bad luck gets erased because he's got a whip over 1.5, which is just crazy. 146 strikeouts, 55 walks, 13 home runs, and he's also got a league-leading 12 wild pitches and 137 2/3 innings pitched. And don't you just love when you can find strikeouts on the wire? Both his 23.5% strikeout rate and 9.5 K per 9 are better than the league average. He's got a nice ability to miss bats as well with a 12.2% swinging strike rate and a 28.1% whiff rate. His called strike rate is a little low and has actually dropped each of the past 3 seasons, and that's led to a 25.7% called plus swinging strike rate. And pretty much all of his pitches are relatively straight without a whole lot of drop. That's contributed to a subpar 26.9% chase rate. Walks, they're a bit of an issue as well. His rate's just under 9%, and he's walking over 3.5 per 9. As is usually the case with pitchers that excel at missing bats, he's got a solid contact rate of just over 75.5%. In the zone, he's at 84.4, and both of those marks are about a point better than league average. Absolutely love his quality of contact. His 87.8 mile an hour exit velocity is in the top quarter of the league, 6.6% barrel rates in the top third, and his 37.7% hard hit rate is in the top 40%. He's also well better than most with a 5.8% weak contact rate. He skews towards being a fly ball pitcher with a ground ball rate just over 38%. The big concern with him really is his line drive rate, which is currently over 31%. That's way too high. Way too high. That's led to him having a crazy 364 BABIP, and he's not getting much help from the defense behind him either. He's got some volatility to him. He's allowed 5 or more earned runs 5 times this season, but he also has the ability to go out there and give you 7 innings of 1-run ball with 10 strikeouts. I like him next week. Miami, I understand they've been hot, but I mean, they really ain't got a whole hell of a lot going on. And I'm always kind of leery of, a pitcher going up against a team multiple times in a very short period of time. But Atlanta's kind of been on the struggle bus. If you need him, run his ass out there.
Yeah. Heck yeah. I got a question in the chat from Raul.
Awesome.
Wants to know if you should drop Brandon Nimmo and pick up Tobias Myers versus Colorado Saturday. That is at Milwaukee. Just checking. He still has Soto, J-Rod, Churio, Green, kind of behind the 8 ball here. He's the 1 seed, losing by 20 to the 8 seed.
Nimmo hasn't done dick for the past few weeks.
Quiet.
And Tobias, look, Colorado is arguably the worst team in baseball on the road. Tobias Myers has been doing really well this season. He's at home. That's an offense that's going to give him plenty of run support. Look, dude, it's playoffs. You do what you got to do. I endorse the move.
Sometimes I say don't panic, but, it's a smart move. I like it. And James is back with a question. Outfielders are Ozuna, Tucker, Alvarez, Tatis, and Lawrence Butler and Bretton Doyle. He can play 4. Any thoughts on the 4 you like? Is Tucker officially back this weekend?
Supposed to be. I'm kind of in the same position. I've got Tucker on a team, and I'm just waiting.
Friday.
I am hesitant to start him just because of how long he has been out. I don't give 2 shits if he's done some batting practice and ran bases. There's something to be said for getting back used to major league pitching. I'm going to sit him, and I'm going to sit Doyle, and I'm going to run with Ozuna, Alvarez, Tatis, and Butler.
Yeah, that's a good, definitely Lawrence Butler. Man, that cat's been playing well.
See, Raul, that's what he's saying. Nimmo, hey, look, I've got Nimmo on a team. Kyle's got Nimmo on a team. We feel your pain, dude. And it's a difficult decision to make because chances are Brandon Nimmo is a big reason why you're in the position that you're in. But at the same time, come playoffs, it's what have you done for me lately?
Okay, man.
All right. Hey, dude, I'm a talker. What do you want from me?
We got another show tonight at 8, so that's all I'm saying.
All right. So we gave this twin starter a shot a couple of weeks ago, and you didn't end up with the 2-step. And that's one thing to keep in mind. Like, these are 2-start pitchers as of now. Anything that happens after this, it ain't our fault. Don't come bitching to me. Regardless, this rookie has been racking up the strikeouts and deserves a look. Kyle, break down David Festa for us.
It was actually last Thursday, 7 days ago, we talked about Festa. His last start was versus the Rays yesterday. Allowed 2 earned run on 5 hits, 5 innings pitched, 7 Ks, and 1 walk, including 16 whiffs on 46 swings for a 35% whiff rate and a 29% called strike plus whiff rate. Pretty good. Unfortunately, he took the loss. It was his 3rd in a row. But 2 of those 3 were some tough luck losses. So he's now 0-4 in his last 5, but he's still pitched to a respectable 3.91 ERA in 23 innings. His fastball's good, still about 94.8 miles an hour, and especially with the extension he gets, being 6'6" tall, it will appear to 6'6" tall. That sounded wrong. So that ball appear a lot faster to hitters. On the year, he's got 10 appearances, 9 of them starts. He's 2-5, 47 and a third innings pitched, a 4.75 ERA, though his xFIP is about a run better. Strikeout rate is outstanding. He's at over 29%. He's among the top 35 pitchers in the league in that regard. Walk rate's pretty good too, 6.5, puts him in the top third of pitchers. He's had a bit of trouble keeping the ball in the park this year. Home runs per nine's at 1.5. He's allowed 8 home runs, but most of those happened a couple months ago earlier in the summer. The hard contact numbers haven't been very bad, which is a good sign for these outings and future outings as well. His average exit velocity is 89.1 miles an hour, sits a tick below league average. His hard hit rate's 37.8, puts him in the 58th percentile, but he has allowed a lot of barrel balls. He's pretty good, pretty excellent at the swing and miss. Both of his chase and whiff rates are in the top quarter best pitchers in the league, and he has an above average swinging strike rate of 12.8 and a called strike plus whiff rate just a tick under 30. That's pretty good. Matchups there and the screen both come at home. First one versus the Angels. Last 15 days, they've been just deplorable, horrible. Last in hits, second to last in runs, second to last in walks, and middle in the pack in strikeouts. Definitely roll him out there. Cincinnati has been a little bit hotter, 6th in hits, 8th in runs, 23rd in RBIs. They will walk a bunch, and they have the 12th most strikeouts in the last couple weeks. So you can never have too much, starting depth there. Grab him, add him for these 2 starts. Maybe you hold on to him for the stretch run in the playoffs with some strikeout upside.
So we got James with a strategic question. He had Julio Rodriguez all season long and just had enough of his shit and dropped him. And now he's on a little heater with some steals. Thoughts on picking him up as a defensive move to keep him away from opponents and maybe use him?
Sure.
Yes, absolutely. We know what he is capable of, regardless of what he has shown us this year. We know that here over the next, we'll call it 2 or 3 weeks, he could hit 5 home runs very easily. And I would rather he do that on my bench than against me. Now, that also depends on who you have to drop to get him. If it's just some jabroni that you can live without, have at it. But I would be hesitant to drop a real quality piece. But at the same time, like, you could look at Julio as a quality piece.
Sure. It's been a frustrating season for them owners.
It has, and I'm in favor of getting a quality piece.
Right. Thanks for your guys' kind comments there as well about the advice we give. We appreciate you guys as well. We love doing it for you. We're excited about it. So, we got a couple more left. This Marlins pitcher has struggled, giving up 11 earned runs and 6 home runs in his last 2 outings. Matt, how can Valente Bellozo right the ship next week versus some subpar teams?
I'm proud of you for pulling off that pronunciation.
Yep.
So he has 2 road starts at Pittsburgh and Washington. Pittsburgh, surprisingly, has been top 10 in runs scored over the past couple of weeks, but they've been cooling off. Not a whole lot of pop there. They strike out a lot and don't walk much. Washington has been bottom 3rd in runs scored. And again, that's a team that puts the ball in play. And understand this dude is an absolute desperation play. I know a few of you guys have asked about him over the past couple of weeks. He's been roughed up in his last 2 starts against the Cubs and at Colorado, and that's kind of understandable. I think the Cubs are leading baseball in scoring over the past couple of weeks. And look, Colorado is runs. Colorado.
Yeah,
just insane. You look at his numbers on the season. He's 2-2 with a 4.32 ERA. FIP and xFIP are about a run higher, a 134 whip, 32 strikeouts, 15 walks, 9 home runs in 41 2/3 innings pitched. And look, this dude gives up so many home runs. Cisco is going to write a song about him and call it the Dong Song. He's given up almost 2 home runs per 9 innings, and that is in no way any good. However, luckily enough, PNC Park does suppress home runs quite a bit. He's not going to provide you with many strikeouts, but he is capable of providing a strikeout per inning in any given start. And I almost feel like we could say that about any pitcher, but I'm trying to look on the bright side here. I'm an optimist. His strikeout rate is just 17.8%, and he's striking out just under 7 per 9. Not much swing and miss with him either, to the surprise of absolutely no one. His swinging strike rate is sitting at 8.3%, and he's got a bottom 10% whiff rate of just 19.9%. He actually gets an okay amount of movement on his pitches, but he's not using it to fool anyone or get him to chase. He's got a chase rate of just 23.4%. He's not going out there beating himself too much, thankfully. Not that batters really need any help against him. His walk rate's just a tick over the league average at 8.3%, and his walks per 9 is sitting at 324. He's not doing himself any favors early in the count either, with a first pitch strike rate of just 52.2%. Contact, this dude allows a lot. His overall rate's a little over 81%, about 5 points higher than average. However, in the zone, he's at just 85.7, and while it's high, it's just barely so. This dude may have the worst quality of contact I've seen all year. His balls are getting pounded into dust. He's got a 92.3 mile an hour exit velocity, bottom 1%, 12.2% barrel rate, bottom 3%, 48.1% hard hit rate, bottom 2%. And guess what? He's not inducing much weak contact either, at a 2.3% rate. He is a fly ball pitcher that gets pulled quite a bit. He's also got a line drive rate north of 27%. How he has a 262 BABIP and an 81.5% strand rate is beyond my grasp of the game. It's got to be magic or smoke and mirrors or something. I don't know how in the hell it's happening. I have no explanation. If you are truly desperate, run him out there against Pittsburgh. Otherwise, just run.
Yeah, I was going to say the same exact thing. Like, give him a whirl against Pittsburgh, but I wouldn't against Washington. They're sneaky good offense.
They are, and they put the ball in play.
They do.
So our last profile of the day is another Marlins pitcher. This one's only allowed 1 earned run in his last 11 2/3. Is Adam Oller for real, or is this just a mirage?
I'm feeling a little bit of optimism about him as well. Most recent start was excellent. Allowed 2 hits, 2 walks, 8 Ks over 6 scoreless, and a no decision against the Giants on Friday. Did get the quality start. The Giants haven't been so hot lately. Take it for what it is. But it was the first time this season, this is how bad the Marlins have been. First time this season, the Marlins had struck out 8 or more batters in a scoreless start of at least 6 innings. And he really showcased his ability to control the game and keep runs off the board. To date, he's had just 3 starts. He's 1-1, 16 1/3 innings pitched. ERA's 3.31. Whip's nice at 1.04. And his FIP's at 4.65. So having some luck there. I guess, that the FIP still makes him look like a, mid-rotation starter, I guess, but he's 1% owned, and this is even more of a desperation play than probably Bellozo. Strikeout rate's above average, almost 24%. Unfortunately, the walk rate is almost 12%. That's not good at all. Not good at all. He's got some pretty good command with his 93.9 mile an hour fastball, which is the main reason his breaking stuff and his changeup have looked so good over these 3 starts. He's getting in good counts, getting into good swing counts, and that all comes from getting ahead with strike one. And he's done a good job with that. His first pitch strike rate is almost 3% higher than last year. And his swing and miss game is not the best in this small sample size. Both are below average, but he's made some pretty damn big gains this year with both his chase and whiff rates getting 6% better than last year. And looking at whiff rates for each of his offerings, he tosses a slurve. It's his second most thrown pitch, about a fifth of the time. It is a nice whiff rate of just under 40%. So far, he's been hit pretty hard. Average exit velocity is 91 miles an hour. Hard hit rates at 44% and almost a 10% barrel rate. All of those are no bueno. And if you look at his batted ball data, his ground ball rates, line drive rates are far below the league average, but his fly ball rate is in the stratosphere. Take a guess.
11%.
11%, 41.5%. That's
That was close.
average is what 23-7, something like that, right around there. So it hasn't cost him. Luckily, in the home run department, he's allowed just 2 home runs in those 16 innings, and it's perhaps because he allows so far a very low pull rate of just 24%. That's 13% less than league average. The matchups there: Pittsburgh at Washington, both on the road. Pittsburgh last 15 days, kind of middling, 11th in hits, 10th in runs, 20th in home runs, 19th in RBIs, 17th in walks, but they do have the eighth most Ks. I really like that for Oller with his high strikeout rate. And Washington last 15 days, 19 in hits, 23rd in runs, 6th in RBIs, though. They can't draw a walk to save them life recently in the last couple of weeks, but they do have the second lowest amount of strikeouts. What I'm seeing with Oller is, he's pretty confident. That can lead to results, and then results can keep building that confidence. I like him. He's a viable streaming option or a low-end rotation filler, I suppose. Most likely, just in deeper leagues or formats that, heavily reward strikeouts. It's a good option. Heck yeah. All right.
Just let everyone know that our first in-season football stream is starting here in 20 minutes. I even put the link in there in the chat.
Oh, I had it saved as well. That's crazy. Why is your link different from my link? That's weird.
I don't know. I just pulled it right from YouTube.
That's the one I have here, and it's says something different.
Oh, well, it's unimportant. Anyways, we appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We know a lot of leagues have already started with their playoffs. And for those of you that made it, good luck. For those of you that didn't, well, you know what? You should have listened to us a little bit more. And if you did listen to us a lot, that shit wasn't our fault. We're going to be back here next Tuesday at the hell time? 7:00. Yes, we're going double barrel fun for the next couple of weeks, baseball and football. And then we're going to be around Sunday morning, noon, tinker time, helping with those last minute lineup decisions, maybe throw in a DFS lineup or two, place a few bets. And we got 2K coming in here under the wire. Would you drop Waka, Zebby, Colin Ray, or Jared Jones for Oller? That's a good question.
Jared Jones has not been very good since he came back.
He's not.
That's a tough.
Zebby has been up and down. Colin Ray, I honestly haven't looked at in a few weeks. I know Waka's been kind of halfway decent. Really, when it comes to all of these pitchers here, it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. With guys like this, you really want to pay attention to the matchups and really try and capitalize there, because there isn't really anything that separates these guys from one another. Now, if you're talking about Jared Jones from the beginning of the season, dude was a monster. Minor league Zebby, elite control, and he still has that. That shit travels. But at the same time, there's also a big difference between AA and AAA hitters and major league hitters, especially for a team that's pushing for a playoff spot.
Yeah. He's got a follow-up question. Drop Burger for Langford or Young?
Which Young? I assume it's Josh Young. He's been doing pretty damn good.
Texas is a lot better. I mean, their offense ain't been good, but I like it better than Miami's.
Yeah, and Langford, he had that walk-off grand slam the other day against Clay Holmes that at least temporarily has cost him his closer job. Berger, I think, has more power upside than any of those other two, but I think probably Langford and Young are superior overall hitters. So it's going to come down to what specifically you're looking for. If you're willing to sacrifice, average or on base or whatever it may be, and really run production opportunity, but you're just looking for home runs, then Berger is the way to go. If you're looking for somebody a little bit more rounded and a little bit more consistent, I'd go with Young. And it's a points league, especially if you are punished for strikeouts. I would probably go with Josh Young. And I think Langford is a solid option. If you're not punished for strikeouts, stick with Berger.
Gotcha. Heck yeah. All right. Good questions. Hell yeah. Hopefully we see you guys over at the Fantasy Football YouTube channel in about 16 minutes. We're going to get the hell out of here. You guys have a great day, great night. Stay stoned.